All right. Good morning, everybody. I would like to call to order the council meeting for July 31st, 2025. Georgia, would you please call the roll for attendance?
Counselor Nolan,
Present. Good morning.
Counselor Lewis,
Present.
Counselor Wong,
Present.
Counselor Rosenthal,
Present.
Council President Peterson, and Counselor Gonzalez are excused today, and Deputy Council President Simpson.
Present. Good morning, Georgia. Will you please play the safety video for our in-person attendees?
Hi, I'm Justin Dunlap, and I'm the department head stagehand electrician at the Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall. Safety's a big part of my job. From electrical, making sure that I stay up to date on the NFPA codes and regulations, to rigging, where we make sure that everything is safely suspended overhead, to egress, ensuring that our audiences, performers, and technicians have the safest possible route in case of emergency. I'm out here at the Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall, and you're in the Metro Regional Center. Please note that we're on the 3rd floor of the building. In the event of a fire or fire alarm, please exit through the door in the northeast corner of the room. Go down the steps to the 2nd floor and exit through the main entrance by the reception desk. We will meet in the courtyard outside that entrance. In the event of a medical or fire emergency, please call 911 and notify the security agent at the front desk. The nearest defibrillator is mounted on the steps leading from the reception desk down to Grand Avenue.
Alrighty. I will now open public communications on non-agenda items. Georgia, will you please describe to the audience our procedures that we will use for public communications?
Yes, if you are testifying on non-agenda items, now is the time to do so. If you are testifying in person, please come up to the front and sign up by filling out a blue card in the back of the room and bringing it up to me. If you are testifying on Zoom or by phone, please sign up by using the raise hand function in the reactions or more menus, or by dialing *9. When it's your turn to testify, I'll call your name or phone number. For those on Zoom, click accept to be promoted to a panelist. Your Zoom window will close briefly before you rejoin as a panelist. You can turn on your camera if you'd like. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes, and the timer begins when you begin speaking. If you are testifying in person, there are timers located at your testimony table, on the wall, and on the digital screen. Please state your name for the record before testifying. You do not need to give your physical address. And Deputy Council President Simpson, there is no one who has signed up to testify in advance on non-agenda items. I'm going to give it a moment for folks to come up in the virtual or physical audience. And I'm not seeing anyone.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Georgia. I will now close public communications and move us into our consent agenda. We have 2 items on today's consent agenda. 3.1, resolution number 25-5516 for the purpose of authorizing a rooftop community solar lease agreement at the Metro Portland Expo Center. And 3.2, consideration of the July 24th, 2025 council meeting minutes. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Move consent.
Second. All right. It's been moved by Counselor Lewis, seconded by Counselor Rosenthal. All in favor say aye.
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 Yes.
All opposed say nay. Thank you. All opposed say nay. All right. The motion passes. Moving us along to resolutions. First up, we have 4.1, resolution number 25-5505 for the purpose of endorsing the Montgomery Park streetcar locally preferred alternative. We now have the opportunity to consider endorsing the locally preferred alternative for the Montgomery Park streetcar extension. We reviewed this project in detail at a work session last month, so I will ask Alex Orshak to provide council with just a brief overview before consideration.
Good morning, Deputy President Simpson, members of council. My name is Alex Orshak, Beacon Pronouns Senior Transportation Planner at Metro. I am excited today to share with you and request your endorsement on the locally preferred alternative for the Montgomery Park streetcar extension project. Next slide, please. Just to touch briefly on the LPA endorsement schedule, last December, Portland City Council adopted the LPA for this project. Since then, we've been meeting with various Metro committees, first to provide an update on the project and then to request recommendation on the LPA endorsement. Last month, we provided you all with an update at a council work session, and also last month, both MPAC and JPACT recommended that council endorse the LPA. Next slide, please. In addition to the LPA endorsement, Metro Council will have a continuing role in a future RTP amendment, which will happen in coordination with two other projects that have recently had their LPAs endorsed by council, TV Highway and East 2nd Avenue. We're expecting that this will be brought back to you later this year with an adoption of the RTP amendment next spring. Next slide, please. So the LPA identifies the mode, alignment, and general station locations for the transit project. This project would add new streetcar service from the western end of the existing north-south streetcar line. The extension would begin at Northwest 23rd and Northrop and travel on 23rd before running east-west along Roosevelt and Wilson towards Montgomery Park. The general station locations are at Northwest 23rd and Raleigh and Northwest Roosevelt and Wilson at 25th and 26th. Next slide, please. Other improvements happening as part of or in coordination with this project include rehabilitating Northwest 23rd Avenue, building new multimodal streets in the project area, purchasing 12 hybrid battery streetcar vehicles, which will allow the extension to be 100% off-wire, while also allowing the vehicles to continue running on wire along the existing alignment. A public benefits agreement that will bring things like middle wage jobs, affordable housing units, and a new park to the area, and land use changes that will allow for thousands of housing units and new jobs. Next slide, please. This LPA was informed by community engagement efforts, including business canvassing, outreach with community-based organizations and neighborhood groups, in-person and online open houses, and an urban design focus group. Next slide, please. So with that, the action that we are requesting from you today is that Metro Council endorse the Montgomery Park streetcar extension's locally preferred alternative by approving resolution number 25-5505. In your packet, there's a copy of the proposed resolution and a staff report with additional detail. I also have some colleagues here from the City of Portland, and we would be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you. I think Deputy President Pearson or Simpson's on mute.
Sorry, thank you for that reminder, Alex. We have one person signed up to testify on this agenda item. Georgia, will you please reread the procedures for public comment for anyone just joining us?
If you are testifying in person, please sign up by filling out a blue card from the back of the room and bringing it up to me. If you are testifying on Zoom or by phone on resolution number 25-5505, please sign up by using the raise hand function in the reactions or more menus, or by dialing *9. When it's your turn to testify, I'll call your name or phone number. For those on Zoom, click accept to be promoted to a panelist. Your Zoom window will close briefly before you rejoin as a panelist. You can turn on your camera if you'd like. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes, and the timer begins when you begin speaking. If you are testifying in person, there are timers located on the testimony table, on the wall, and on the digital screen. Please state your name for the record before testifying. You do not need to give your physical address. And we do have one person who has signed up to testify today in advance, Tom Buse. However, I do not see them in the virtual audience, and I do not see them in the physical audience. So we'll give them a couple of seconds just to maybe log on. Yeah, Deputy Council President, they have not logged on yet. So I think that we have no one here to testify.
Alrighty, thank you, Georgia. Councilors, any questions for Alex?
Councilor Rosenthal?
Yes, thanks, Alex. I just have one question. I noticed throughout the service area for the streetcars, their generally stops are generally 3 blocks or less, and yet the 2 stops here are 5 and 7 blocks separate, which seems a much more distant kind of separation, and I'm just wondering what the reasons for that are.
Now, I'll have my colleague from the City of Portland answer that question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, councilors. My name is Sean Kenny. I'm a city transportation planner at PBOT on the area planning and project development team, serving as lead planner for the Portland Streetcar Montgomery Park extension. And that's a great question. So part of the reasoning for the spacing of stations farther apart than they are on the rest of the line is predominantly to support both streetcar and traffic operations on Northwest 23rd Avenue. When we were working on developing those streetcar station locations, we wanted to make sure that there was still a walk shed of a quarter mile or less to those locations because we want to make sure that they're still quite available, but they are a little bit farther apart than they are on the rest of the extension, or the rest of the line, yes.
Just to follow up, would there be any potential for adding additional stops at some point, such as the corner where it turns at some time in the future, or is that precluded by the construction process going forward?
It would currently be precluded by this LPA, but if we go through the community engagement process as we start to advance project development and folks are really, really interested in changing those things, we can revisit it. It would require us going through this public process again, but we're certainly open to ensuring that we do this in the right way. And I don't think that the construction of the project overall would preclude us from adding more stations again in the future, either as part of another project or improvements to the line.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Nolan.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I don't have a question. I just wanted to thank Alex and the team here at Metro and Sean and the team at the City of Portland for bringing this project forward and navigating all the challenges of putting it together. I am eager to welcome the new development into Northwest Portland. Thanks, folks.
All right. Seeing no other councilors having any comments or questions, I would call for a motion on resolution number 25-5505.
I'll move adoption, Mr. Chair. Nolan.
Second.
Great. It's been moved by Councilor Nolan and seconded by Councilor Lewis. Councilors, any additional discussion? All right, Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Wong.
Aye.
Counselor Rosenthal.
Aye.
Counselor Nolan.
Yes.
Counselor Lewis.
Aye.
Deputy Council President Simpson.
Aye. Did we get Councilor Wong?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Great. Awesome. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you, councilors. Thank you, Alex, for all of your hard work in getting this done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. We will now turn our consideration of the 2028-2030 Regional Flexible Funding Allocation. Unique to this cycle, the Regional Flexible Fund Allocation included a competitive allocation to local projects, often referred to as Step 2, as well as consideration of a new Regional Flexible Fund being called Step 1A.1. The outcomes of both those allocation efforts are reflected in the two resolutions before you today. DAPAC approved the Step 2 and bond proposal at its July 17th meeting. I will now ask Ted Leobold, Transportation Policy Director, and Grace Cho, Principal Transportation Planner, to walk us through each resolution, beginning with resolution number 25-5511 for the purpose of allocating $141.6 million of regional flexible fund for the years 2028 through 2030, pending adoption of the 2027 through 2030 MTIP. Floor is yours, Ted and Grace.
Thank you, Deputy Council President Simpson and Metro councilors. As was mentioned, there are two resolutions here before you today. These are in the purview of the Metro Council in partnership with the Joint Policy Advisory Committee on Transportation to allocate to transportation projects and programs throughout the region, which we do once every 3 years. So we're here today to ask for final action on this item. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Grace Cho, Principal Transportation Planner in the Planning, Development, and Resource Department, to walk you through the resolutions.
Yes. Again, thank you, Deputy Council President and members of the Metro Council for having me here this morning. After nearly 18 months, I'm excited to finally be here before you to request Metro Council adoption of Resolution 255511, the 2028 through 2030 Regional Flexible Fund allocation. Next slide, please. So just starting at the top, the regional flexible funds are federal transportation dollars, which the Metropolitan Planning Organization, represented jointly by JPACT and the Metro Council, have the authority to allocate. They're comprised solely of federal surface transportation funds, primarily the Surface Transportation Block Grant, Transportation Alternative Set-Aside, and the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality funds. In total, they roughly make up about 5% of all the transportation funding in the region in a given 3-year period. And as a source of funds, they are one of the MPO's main tools to implement the Regional Transportation Plan. Next slide, please. And the way in which the regional flexible funds get allocated can differ a little bit from cycle to cycle, but what remains consistent includes that the allocation of regional flexible funds are for 3 years of projected funds available, and to kick off each allocation cycle, the region adopts a program direction which outlines the intent on how to expend regional flexible funds in a manner to advance regional objectives. In July 2024, this body, with a recommendation from JPACT, adopted Resolution 5415, the program direction for the 28 through 30 Regional Flexible Fund allocation, which specified this cycle's allocation framework, desired outcomes, and process objectives. Next slide, please. So as adopted in the program direction, the allocation structure of the Regional Flexible Funds includes 4 parts. The first, there is Step 1A, which is an allocation of flexible funds to repay debt service on previous project bond commitments. Then there's Step 1B, which is an allocation of flexible funds to continue investment into region-wide programs, such as our Safe Routes to School program, as well as planning activities. The third is Step 2, which typically represents the remainder of the regional flexible funds following the allocations of Step 1A and Step 1B. Step 2 is the competitive process to allocate regional flexible funds to local transportation projects on the regional transportation system. However, somewhat unique to this cycle, there is a 4th allocation category called Step 1A.1. As part of the program direction adoption, the region agreed to move forward in developing a new project bond proposal for consideration by decision makers. This 4th category, I'll discuss more in my next presentation. Next slide, please. So with that allocation framework established, Metro staff most recent revenue projection of regional flexible funds available in federal fiscal years 28 through 2030 are an estimated $161 million. Resolution 255511 includes 3 parts to the 28 through 30 regional flexible fund allocation and allocates a combined total of $141.6 million between Step 1A, Step 1B, and Step 2. Leaving that remaining projected regional flexible funds for the next action in consideration, which would commit regional flexible funds for bonding. Next slide, please. But more specifically, how did the region build the Step 2 allocation proposal before you this cycle? Well, the Step 2 proposal process aimed to incorporate and balance across 5 components, which included objectives that were outlined as part of the program direction objectives, technical evaluation results of the submitted applications, looking at how well these applications advance regional transportation plan goals and policy objectives, the public comment on those Step 2 applications, further input and direction to build different Step 2 allocation packages provided by our regional committees. And then lastly, indication of coordinating committee and the City of Portland's priority application. Over the past year, regional partners participated in multiple activities which encompass those 5 components to develop a Step 2 allocation package which reflects those pieces, which led to last month, where in June, Metro staff presented three initial Step 2 allocation package options for discussion with TPAC and coordinating committees to deliberate. These same initial three packages were presented and shared with counselors at your June 17th work session. That in turn shaped a draft Step 2 allocation package presented to JPAC in late June, which received supportive feedback. Then in July, with that positive response, Metro staff put forward the Step 2 allocation package with no further changes to for TPAC consideration at their July 11th meeting. TPAC made their recommendation to JPAC without any changes. Following, JPAC unanimously recommended the Step 2 allocation package to Metro Council. Next slide, please. So the Step 2 allocation package presented here is the JPAC recommended package. This package includes 10 local projects that individually meet a majority of those 5 components I had spoke to earlier. And noting that in several cases, individual projects were actually the top performer among those different individual components. I want to note getting to the Step 2 allocation package is not without sacrifice and trade-offs. 2 applications, the West Side Trail Bicycle and Pedestrian Bridge over Highway 26 and the Oregon 99E McLaughlin Boulevard 10th Street to Tumwata Village applications, both scaled their regional flexible fund requests in efforts to get to a financially constrained package and help balance across those 5 components. So I want to continue to express thanks to Tualatin Hills Parks and Recreation District, as well as the City of Oregon City for their flexibility to get us to this package. Next slide, please. Since kicking off this 28 through 30 Regional Flexible Fund allocation in February of 2024, Metro staff have made it a priority to ensure that we're gathering input from our regional partners throughout the Regional Flexible Fund process regularly. This slide emphasizes the number of times Metro staff have gone to regional partners seeking input to shape the cycle's unique 2-part Regional Flexible Fund allocation. For the Metro-hosted TPAC and JPAC tables, over this year and a half, staff have been a monthly staple on our TPAC agenda, where with JPAC, over that same period, we presented 15 times. And then beyond just the Metro table, Regional Flexible Fund staff have also gone to a number of coordinating committees and advisory committees by request. Next slide, please. And then there's also the touch points with Metro Council. Including the kickoff meetings, Metro staff have come to Council at 4 different points to gather input ahead of key actions. Council direction at the outset expressed maximizing these dollars to advance the regional transportation plan goals and objectives, and also ensuring region-wide investment of regional flexible funds. The direction that Council provided, we feel is present in the allocation of the regional flexible fund package that's before you today. Next slide, please. So as noted earlier this month, Metro staff began the final approval process by requesting TPAC action on recommending Resolution 2555-11 at their July 11th meeting. TPAC made their recommendation without any changes, followed by JPAC approval and recommending it for adoption at their July 17th meeting. All of this leading to today, where on the last day of July, just ahead of a summer recess, I'm here to request Metro Council adoption of Resolution 2555-11, the 2028 through 30 Regional Flexible Fund allocation for Step 1A, 1B, and Step 2. Once adopted, Metro staff will begin to program these projects in the 27 through 2030 Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Program to make these funds available to those projects in federal fiscal years 28 through 30. And with that, I am here to close and put forward my request.
Deputy President, you're still on mute.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Grace. It's been a year and a half, I'm sure, but I am so grateful for the work that you have done to get us to this point, especially, and also uplifting Ted as well. Thank you so much. Counselors, I see Counselor Rosenthal. I got you up. Any other additional discussion? Counselor Rosenthal.
I was just going to move adoption.
All right. All right. So I didn't even call for a motion, but all right.
Discussion once we get adoption. Usually you move the adoption and then you discuss, but whatever.
Let's do it in the right way. Let's do it. So we don't have any discussion. Great. Can I call for a motion on resolution number 25-5511? That's you, Councilor Rosenthal.
So move.
And
All
still
right.
seconding.
All right. So it's been moved by Councilor Rosenthal and seconded by Councilor Lewis. Councilors, any additional discussion?
Yeah, just a comment.
Councilor Rosenthal.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I spoke a little too soon. Thank you, staff, for all the work that's gone into this and all the meetings that have gone into this. It's an interesting project list. It's widely distributed throughout the area. There's 4 in the East County and Multnomah County, and Portland, and 3 in Washington County, and 3 in Clackamas County. So I think that's good. I think the most important thing to note is that there was some response in this case to some projects that didn't rate quite as highly as others, were also very community involved, and so there was a response to the community. And sometimes we can't just use the numbers to choose things. We also have to respond to what's out there. There's always many more projects than we can fund, but this is a good start, and I think this represents a good list, and I'm pleased at least there's one in my district.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilor Rosenthal. Councilor Wong.
Thank you, Deputy President, and I just want to thank our jurisdictional partners and our amazing staff, and also Chair Gonzalez and our JPACT counselors. Thank you all for your leadership. I'm really excited about, the slate of projects, and, we're at the end of a long and winding road to get here. I'm just wondering if you all have any key learnings from this process. It's not our first time working on a bond, but yeah, what was different this time? What are you going to take away from this process to make us even better next time?
Yeah, well, maybe focusing in specifically on the step 2 process, because we'll take the bond item next and we can reflect on that as well. With step 2, we were actually able to pilot a number of new processes this cycle, and from, I believe it's Resolution 2554-14, because I look at these a little too often. This body actually approved the funds to be able to provide application assistance to our jurisdictional partners this cycle, and we were able to really utilize that and test out and get a better understanding of where our different jurisdictional partners need support and being able to apply and compete for grant funding. And we're really excited and hopeful that we can continue on those efforts, continue to build on those efforts.
Were those funds fully used and deployed?
They were fully used for this cycle. We are hoping for redistribution funds again, leading into the next cycle, that we may be able to utilize a bit of that to support. It's not guaranteed, but we'll be seeking your leadership and ahead of the next cycle to be able to discuss some of that, and really trying to work through how we can continue to our regional transportation plan goals, which I want to emphasize, the program was 3 times oversubscribed from what we had available. All of them were incredible candidates. Many of the projects from a technical standpoint were within a point of each other. I mean, not even points of a point. And so it's really indicative that the regional partnerships, leaderships around building strong policies have led towards these great local projects that continue to come through the step 2 process.
I would just add one more thing, which we haven't fully learned yet, but we are lining up to learn about, is a new effort to also help the projects that we do fund this cycle get off to a faster start and a better start in terms of their project delivery. We have set aside, in that same allocation, we've set aside a little bit of funds to do some advanced work with the projects that we're going to award funding to today, to get them off to a faster start than what they can normally do through the federal aid process typically. So, looking forward to additional learnings.
Great. Well, thanks for the continuous improvement. That's great.
Thanks.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I will call on Georgia to take the roll.
Counselor Rosenthal,
Yes.
Counselor Wong,
Aye.
Counselor Lewis,
Aye.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Deputy Council President Simpson.
Aye, the motion passes unanimously. But we're not done. And now we'll move to consideration of the 2028-2030 Regional Flexible Fund Step 1A.1 bond proposal process. So Ted and Grace, sit tight.
All right.
Resolution number 20, I'm going to move us into resolution number 25-5510 for the purpose of approving an increased multi-year commitment of regional flexible funds for the year 2028 through 2039, funding TriMet, 82nd Avenue Transit Project, Tualatin Valley Highway Transit Project, the Portland Streetcar Montgomery Park Extension, Sunrise Gateway Corridor Project, and Earthquake Ready Burnside Bridge Project, and authorizing execution of intergovernmental agreements. Again, Ted and Grace, the floor is yours.
Just go ahead.
Great. Well, we can just launch right into it with the presentation coming up online. Thank you again, counselors, for having me. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here to request this final action today on Resolution 255510, the 28 through 30 Regional Flexible Fund, Step 1A.1, New Project Bond Proposal. Next slide, please. But before making that request, just a reminder as to how all this began a year ago. As referenced in my previous presentation, the adoption of the 28 through 2030 Regional Flexible Fund Allocation Program Direction in July 2024, the region agreed to move forward with the development of a new Regional Flexible Fund bond proposal for consideration, which we've been referring to as Step 1A.1. If this new project bond proposal is adopted today, it'll get incorporated and referred to as part of the Step 1A portion of the Regional Flexible Fund allocation. Next slide, please. So why go through this effort to develop a new project bond proposal? Why should we bond regional flexible funds? Bonding regional flexible funds isn't necessarily new to this region, but it's worthwhile to remember why we would consider another capital project bond commitment. First and foremost, bonding is a financing mechanism to build transportation projects sooner. While there's many benefits to building major capital projects faster, in particular for this council is seeing through the commitments to make meaningful progress on implementing the adopted 2023 Regional Transportation Plan and achieving those different priorities and goals of safe system, equitable transportation, climate action and resilience, mobility options, and thriving economy, really becoming real for the people who live, work, and play in this region. There's also the consideration of the fund leveraging opportunities that bonding regional flexible funds can help unlock. This region has a successful history in strategically bonding regional flexible funds as a contribution to local matching funds to major capital projects and positioning for federal discretionary grants. And I just want to note, in total to date, the bonded funds have managed to secure a little over $2.2 billion in federal grants alone, and that can be seen through the build out of our region's Max Light Rail system, as well as our region's first FX line. And then just lastly, bonding as a tool is a way to be able to provide meaningful scale regional funding contribution to a major project while also advancing other regional priorities. In any given regional flexible fund cycle, there's not enough funds available on hand to be able to support a local match contribution request to a major capital project while maintaining other important investments in local capital projects, as well as ongoing support for region-wide programs. Bonding is a way for the region to make these multiple needed investments to reach our transportation plan goals. So in this 1.5 year long effort, these different reasons can really be observed in the bond proposal being put forward today. Next slide, please. So with the region's interest on embarking on a new project bond, how did we end up with this bond proposal today? I'll just be a broken record and continue to repeat it. It comes back to our adopted program direction. Included in part of the program direction are our purpose and principles to guide the development of a new project bond. Key aspects to guide the bond proposal development included some of those whys that I just mentioned, but also more specifically, there was as part of the program direction, there was a key focus on transit capital projects, while also recognizing there are differing transit needs across the region. There was also a desire to make the most of retiring bond debt service starting in 2028, while also maintaining a step 2 allocation that invests in local capital projects at comparative levels from previous cycles. And then lastly, not extending debt commitments over many future years in efforts to preserve the ability of future councils and JPAC bodies' ability to direct spending to priority projects and minimizing risks to the agency. Next slide, please. So with these principles in mind, working through a multi-step process with regional partners and with council's guidance, this effort brought us to Resolution 255510, a bond proposal which allocates $88.5 million in bond proceeds across 5 regional projects. In taking action on Resolution 255510, the council approves 2 actions. First, it establishes a new bond commitment of regional flexible funds between 2028 through 2039. And 2, it allocates bond proceeds at the amounts identified to the 5 identified regional transportation projects shown here, as well as outlined as part of Exhibit A. To note, these 5 projects come as a package and not rather than individual awards of bond proceeds, meaning the success of one project is not without the success of others. This is further outlined in Exhibit B, the conditions of approval, where if a project isn't able to move forward, it would necessitate returning to JPAC and Metro Council to evaluate options on how to move forward. Just a couple of other details about this proposal. In total, these 5 projects combined are worth $1.8 billion of investment in the regional transportation system. And with a total cost of about $140 million over the course of that 12-year period, these projects are anticipated to leverage $1.7 billion in federal, state, and local investment. Next slide, please. Again, recognizing this regional flexible fund will be different from those executed in the past, Metro will have different roles acting as 1/2 of the Metropolitan Planning Organization versus Metro as a public agency with the ability to take out bonds. As the MPO, the Metro Council jointly with JPAC dictate how to use regional flexible funds. This includes the decision to award regional flexible funds to transportation projects and programs, as this body just did with Resolution 255511, as well as to whether to bond regional flexible funds for advancing revenues and committing long-term towards debt servicing, which is outlined in this resolution. Whereas Metro, or a delegated agency, in the role of bonding entity, will facilitate the regional flexible fund bond to advance revenues to disperse to the 5 identified projects. The bonding entity will hold the decision-making function over bond actions, such as when to issue bonds, as well as the administrative responsibilities and the financial liability. The agency acting as the bond entity does not have the decision-making purview on how to use or allocate regional flexible bond proceeds, as that remains within the purview of the MPO. Next slide, please. So with today's action on Resolution 255510, it's a first step towards a new regional flexible fund project bond. There remain a number of activities which need to occur in order to implement this new bond. On this slide are a list of some of those post-adoption implementation activities. And from what you can see on this list, it's still quite a lot of work. So these anticipated activities are planned to take place over the next year, and Metro staff will continue to provide updates to council and regional committees as this work progresses. Next slide, please. So earlier this month, Metro staff began the final approval process by requesting TPAC action to recommend Resolution 255510 to JPAC at their July 11th meeting. TPAC made a recommendation with some friendly amendments to Exhibit B, which have been incorporated, followed by JPAC approval and recommending Resolution 255510 for adoption at their July 17th meeting. So that leads us again here today, where I'm here to request Metro Council adopt Resolution 255510, the 2028 through 2030 Regional Flexible Fund Step 1A new project bond. And once adopted, Metro staff will begin the many activities related to the bond implementation. Next slide, please. And while I know I put forward that request, I just want to take a brief moment in ending my presentation to acknowledge and thank the many Metro staff to contribute to this Regional Flexible Fund allocations effort this cycle. It was quite unique with both the competitive Step 2 allocation and the bond proposal development happening in parallel. And the Metro staff identified on this slide were instrumental in various parts of the process to get us here today. Next slide, please. And with that same respect, it was also a tremendous effort by our regional partners to get to where we are, particularly the big lifts by TPAC and JPAC, community partners, and the staff of the projects to receive bond proceeds, as well as all those Step 2 applicants. Again, I want to make sure to give many, many thanks to our regional partners. And with that, I'm here to make my request.
All right. Again, thank you so much, Grace and Ted, for your diligence on this work with uplifting community and letting this be a community-led process. Again, no need to repeat it, but it is a village. We are a village, and I just want to thank you for that. Because, we're in a moment right now where we need to keep our region moving, but also working. And these projects will do so. And so thank you. Before I go over to you, Councilor Nolan, we do have at least one person signed up for comment. We have a moment where I can ping you on the discussion here in a second. Okay, thank you. Georgia, would you please reread the procedures for providing comment?
Absolutely. If you are testifying in person for resolution number 25-5510, please sign up by filling out a blue card in the back of the room and bringing it up to me. If you are testifying on Zoom or by phone, please sign up by using the raise hand function in the reactions or more menus, or by dialing *9. When it's your turn to testify, I'll call on your name or phone number. For those on Zoom, click accept to be promoted to a panelist. Your Zoom window will close briefly before you rejoin as a panelist. You can turn on your camera if you'd like. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes, and the timer begins when you begin speaking. Please state your name for the record before testifying. You do not need to give your physical address. And Connor, you're welcome to go up, and your time will begin when you begin speaking.
Good morning, Deputy Council President Simpson and Metro Council members. My name is Connor Roberts, and I'm here today on behalf of Cascade Policy Institute to speak on the Step 1A.1 Regional Flexible Funds Allocation Bond. The proposed bond will provide $88.5 million in funding to 5 transit projects, but require $135 million in debt service. The transit projects being proposed are not emergency projects that need to be bonded. The Burnside Bridge will take a lane away from the 48,000 people who use it daily. The 82nd Avenue Transit Project will take a 4-lane down to a 2-lane from the average 21,000 people who use it daily. And the Montgomery Streetcar expansion will add 0.65 miles of costly rail to a route that is already served by TriMet buses that are more flexible and dynamic. Currently, the region's obligation to repay past bond debts ends in 2034, but with the adoption of this bond, that'll be extended until 2039. During this time, Metro will incur interest payments of $50 million. Another drawback to this bond is that it will reduce spending options of the Metro Council for the next 4 bond cycles or 12 years. There have been arguments made that this bond measure will leverage $1.7 billion in state and federal grants. The Rose Corridor Improvement Project had leveraged $400 million in federal grants that was rescinded after being guaranteed. There is no certainty that these projects will leverage that $1.7 billion. Unlike a general obligation bond, this bond will not bring in new money. It will allow you to spend revenue now that you're going to get later, but with $50 million in interest. This is not a sound way to finance capital projects, and for the people who drive on these roads daily, I urge you to vote no on this bond measure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Deputy Council President Simpson, I don't have anyone else who has signed up to testify, and there are no hands in the audience.
All right. Thank you so much, Georgia, and thank you to Connor for his public testimony. We'll now move into councilor questions, and first up, we have Councilor Nolan.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I am interested in, this is an innovative recommendation, and I am very interested in how the staff and the technical team have evaluated potential borrowers. If Metro isn't the bond issuer, i.e. the borrower, who might be on the list to perform that function for this effort?
Yes, Councilor Nolan, that could be different agencies. In the past, TriMet has been the local agency that has been the bond agent that has went out and borrowed the money for previous projects. They could still potentially be one if Metro decides it's not in Metro's best interest to serve in that role as we do the work over the course of the next couple of years. So they are the most likely agency. It could be a different agency. It probably would be one we'd go next to the different agencies that are receiving project bond proceed funding.
Thanks for that. And Mr. Chair, may I have just one quick follow-up?
Please, floor is yours, Councilor Nolan.
The document that is before us today, recommended for approval, is permissive and not directive. Am I understanding that correctly? That meaning that it allows bonds to be issued to support the projects on the RUFA, but it does not obligate Metro or anybody else to issue those bonds.
Yes, that is correct.
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Ted and Grace before we move on for a motion? All right. Seeing none, I would like to call for a motion on resolution number 25-5510.
I'll move 25-5510.
Call for a second.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilor Lewis and seconded by Councilor Wong. Councilors, any additional discussion? Councilor Rosenthal.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I have one question that for our staff, and that is two of the projects. One of them is near and dear to my heart, which is the Tualatin Valley Highway, require TriMet, or TriMet is the applicant, and yet we've seen in the paper some indications that TriMet is going to be cutting back services. I think I know the answer to this. I think that there's still a commitment to move forward, but I would like to just hear that noted as to what TriMet's position on these projects is, that they haven't changed their position. And then I just want to make one comment. I mean, we've looked at these projects and I've thought about them a lot. None of them are emergency projects in a sense, but they've all gone through a long process of development. And so the question is, and they all are needed. So the question is, do we move forward, or do we just sort of put everything on the shelf and wait for some other time when we can be more certain of long-term funding? The issue of federal funding, of course, is a big issue that we understand at this point in time. But I'm leaning on the side of moving forward. And as you pointed out, as was pointed out, these are this is a permission to bond, not necessarily a directive to necessarily bond. So if we don't get the money for some of the projects, some of the other sources of funding don't come through, we have options of just waiting, I believe. But I would like to comment on the TriMet commitment, if anybody has any comment on that.
Yes, and I believe we actually have TriMet staff available standing by if you'd like to hear from them directly, but they have indicated to us as staff that they are still committed to following through on these projects that they are the lead agencies for. So that would be the 82nd Avenue Bus Rapid Transit Project and the Tualatin Valley Highway Transit Project, and they are committed to proceeding with that. And then I think just to follow up on your second point, Councilor Rosenthal, is what this funding does is allows those projects to put together their financial plans, which they need to do to go and get those discretionary grants. And so you are correct. What we are showing here is that local commitment to this part of the funding of that of the financial plans for each of those projects, showing that should they get those discretionary grants, that we would be able to then put this funding in place and move forward. Again, we're not going to actually issue bonds until we have commitments from the other sources of those project financial plans. So it is permissive, as Councilor Nolan indicated, but it does not direct us to do anything where we would issue those without those financial plans fully in place.
Does that suffice for you, Councilor Rosenthal?
Yes, I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you for joining us, JC. Councilor Wong.
Thank you, Deputy President. I just wanted to ask and clarify, I think you did a good job of explaining where we are in the process and how important it is to kind of unlock the next phase of work. But when I talk to constituents, there's a wide range of design opinions on these various projects. It might be, where do bike lanes go? It might be how much lane dedication for a transit project. Is it going to be a lot of lane dedication or no dedication? And I was wondering if you could just clarify for folks where we are on the design process for some of these. And I don't feel like this is the right venue, right, for individual project design options, because those are often determined by, the agency that owns the asset. Where are we, and what would be the right venue if my constituents had opinions on lane dedication, for example?
Sure. Yeah, no, happy to do that. Happy to respond to that. Councilor Wong, each of the projects is in a different stage of project development and putting together their financial plans. So again, today's action is really a financial decision. It's not a project design decision for any of those 5 projects. As you were here earlier today, there was a locally preferred alternative decision that you made on the Montgomery Park streetcar. The 82nd Avenue and TV Highway projects are in a similar position. That is one milestone in a project development process where you're committing to a certain level of detail for each of those projects. But again, even those projects have further design details that will be worked out post locally preferred alternative decision. I know, one of the issues that's been discussed as the LPA for the 82nd Avenue project, for instance, has moved forward was whether or not there would be a business access transit lane put forth as part of that project. That's a level of detail that's not indicated in the locally preferred alternatives. They have not made that decision yet, but they are having those conversations, and as the project continues to progress through project development, they'll address those more detailed levels of design issues. And so, as I mentioned, each of the 5 projects is at a different stage within their project development work. And today's decision really is about whether the region is ready to make a decision financially to contribute regional flexible funds to those 5 projects in their current state of project development. And so really, this is about a funding contribution to the projects, not a design decision about those projects.
Thank you for clarification.
All right. Any other questions for Ted, Grace, or JC while we have the floor? Seeing none, I'd like to call for a motion on resolution number 25-5510. Oh, wait, we already did that. Council, yep, sorry. So now I would like to ask Georgia to call the roll.
Yes. Counselor Wong?
Aye.
Counselor Rosenthal?
Aye.
Counselor Nolan?
Yes.
Counselor Lewis?
Aye.
Deputy Council President Simpson?
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Good job, everybody. Thank you. I'm not in the chambers with y'all, but I'm giving you a round of applause, Grace and Ted and JC. Good work, everybody.
Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Thank you. And,
Thank y'all.
and thank you, Metro Council. This is a moment for celebration, so thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, it is a moment for celebration. All right. I'm going to move us along because I know we got a short runway today. We will now move on to ordinances, and we have two to consider today. We have ordinance number 25-1532 for the purpose of annexing to the Metro District approximately 10.1 acres of north of Southeast 59th Avenue and west of Southwest 234th Avenue in Hillsborough. Beginning with our land use ordinance, we considered ordinance number 25-1532 at our meeting July 17, 2025. During the public hearing portion of the meeting, we received no testimony. Our principal regional planner, Glenn Hamburg, is with us today to answer any questions. Glenn? All right, any questions from counselors for Glenn? All right. Seeing none, I'd like to call for a motion on ordinance number 25-1532.
Move adoption.
Second.
Call for it. Awesome. It's been moved by Councilor Rosenthal and seconded by Councilor Lewis. Any additional discussion, councilors? Seeing none, Georgia, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Nolan?
Yes.
Counselor Rosenthal?
Yes.
Counselor Wong?
Aye.
Counselor Lewis?
Aye.
Deputy Council President Simpson?
Aye, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you all.
Easy presentation. All right. All right. We're going to move on along to ordinance number 25-1534 for the purpose of repealing Metro Code section 2.19.240, the Oregon Zoo Bond Citizens Oversight Committee, and replacing it with a new updated Metro Code section 2.19.240, Oregon Zoo Board Oversight Committee. At our last item today is the second reading of an ordinance to support implementation of the 2024 Oregon Zoo Bond Measure. We held a first reading and public hearing for ordinance number 25-1534 on July 24th, 2025, and received no public testimony. From the Oregon Zoo, let's please welcome back Beth Redmond Jones, Oregon Zoo Program Director, to answer any questions. Counselors, any questions for Beth? All right. Seeing none, I'd like to call for a motion on ordinance number 25-1534.
I'll move adoption.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Wong and seconded by Councilor Lewis. Councilors, any additional discussion? Seeing none, Georgia, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Nolan?
Yes.
Counselor Wong?
Aye.
Counselor Rosenthal?
Aye.
Counselor Lewis?
Aye.
Deputy Council President Simpson?
Aye, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
All right. Closing us out, Chief Operating Officer Communications.
Thank you, Deputy Council President. Just one extra reminder that the employee survey is open, and we encourage all employees to fill that out and tell us how we're doing. It's going to be open for a couple of weeks. And then also, just as we head into council recess, want to thank council for a wonderful, what is it, almost like a school year? It feels like a moment. We've done a lot together, and I hope that during the recess, I know that work never stops, but that we all get a chance to reflect on what we've done this year, and I'll come back fresh for a new start in September. Thank you.
Thank you, Larissa. Counselor Communications. All right, I got one before we go. Oh, and I see Counselor Lewis. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to be one of the folks to help launch the mattress recycling program at Metro Central. For our constituents out there, you can now get your old mattresses recycled for free. Just get them over to Metro Central or to any of our partner locations like Environmentally Conscious Recycling. It's a huge boom because I don't know if everybody understands this, but Metro's charge is to reduce waste in the waste stream. And this is a huge step in doing so. That means no more mattresses in landfills. So hats off to our WPS team. Hats off to our folks at Metro Central who make this thing happen every day. They are handling tons and tons of trash every single day. And I'm so happy that this program is now online. So thank you. We got a lot of communications today. So we'll start with Councilor Lewis, Councilor Rosenthal, and then Councilor Wong.
Sure, thank you, colleagues. I neglected on Tuesday to tell you about the Oversight Committee for SHS that met on Monday. The big, exciting decisions that were made at that meeting were 2 plans for regional implementation were approved. One for technical assistance for our providers and the other for training. Those are 2 distinct plans that go hand in hand, and they have already been approved by and written by the Tri-County Planning Body. So those are stood up. Then I would also like to take my moment of microphone time with communications to thank Marielle for her service to Metro and to the region. I've only been able to be staffed directly by her for the past 7 months, but she's been with Metro for 5 years. Tomorrow is her last day. We're so excited that she is going off and finishing her degree so that she can actually help take care of people in our region with her tremendous skills. But we've really benefited from her. So this is awkward. Hi. We're just celebrating you. So thank you for your service to the region.
I'm gonna hop in on that because Marielle was my first policy advisor when I came onto the council. And she was a tremendous support, but also we learned a lot together. So I am happy for you on your journey. I wish you continued success, and you can always call on us.
Thank you.
Of course, I hear you in there. All right, Councilor Rosendahl and then Councilor Wong.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Just one brief thing. I mean, the things continue to happen in August. Family Promise of Tualatin Valley is having an open house tomorrow on Friday, even though we're on recess. I will probably be in attendance. And then I just want to mention that one of the transfer facilities, Pride in Sherwood, is also accepting mattresses. So getting mattresses, getting a way to deal with mattresses and to destroy them or recycle them is important. It's a hard thing to deal with in many cases. So I'm glad we're doing it at Central.
Absolutely. And then Councilor Wong.
Great. Thank you, Deputy President. Just wanted to report I attended, along with Councilor Rosenthal, groundbreaking for 73 Foster this week. It was a project that had a long and winding road, but is now well on its way and just part of a really great kind of neighborhood with the Mercado next door and 72 Foster and a really large Chinese-speaking church across the street. So couldn't think of a better place. And also wanted to express my gratitude to Marielle as well. You've been such a great help, and I'm really happy for your next stage of your career. And don't be a stranger.
All right. seeing no further discussion, the council meeting is adjourned. Council will be in recess beginning tomorrow. We've said this a million times, but I hope that in that recess, I think the words reflect came up, and we reflect on the good work that we've done thus far, and that we know that when we come back, it'll be full steam ahead to close out the year. So our recess begins tomorrow, and we'll go through September 1st through 2025. And our next regular meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 4th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. See y'all in a month.